This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Rain, come and stay. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. Yes, some much-needed rain is on the way as New York and Pennsylvania deal with drought. A steady rain moves in Thursday. Some of it may mix with snow, especially on the higher hilltops. Governor Hochul declared a statewide drought watch yesterday and elevated 15 more counties to drought warning status. New York City's just issued its first drought warning in over 20 years. Health scare right before the holidays. 18 states now have confirmed cases of E. coli from bagged organic carrots produced in California.
Unfortunately, washing produce doesn't eliminate the issue. It might reduce the risk a little bit, but that is really the issue that we have with fresh produce is that we can't wash it off.
That's Ben Chapman, a food safety expert at NC State.
I wouldn't say that we should be worried about our nation's vegetable supply. I will say that fresh produce always provides us with complications.
The carrots in question were sold at stores nationwide from mid-August to late October. One death and 15 hospitalizations have been linked to the tainted carrots from Grimway Farms. Overseas, Moscow is vowing a tangible response to the U.S. decision, which allows Ukraine use of U.S. missiles to strike targets inside Russia. Jennifer Griffin reports from the Pentagon.
President Biden's decision, I'm told by a senior U.S. official, was spurred by the Russian decision to invite 10,000 North Korean soldiers into the fight against Ukraine in Kursk. President Zelensky applauded the long-awaited decision in his nightly address. Ukraine's leaders have been pushing for this permission for over a year.
Republican Senator Josh Hawley calls President Biden's decision to arm Ukraine reckless.
Here he is, potentially leading us down the path to World War III with just weeks to go in his presidency. It is unbelievably reckless and irresponsible.
Today marks a milestone in the Russia-Ukraine war, Europe's largest war since World War II.
Today marks 1,000 days of war, 1,000 days since Vladimir Putin sent his tanks and warplanes into Ukraine. Ukraine can now fight back with American-supplied ATACMS after the U.S. gave permission in recent days for the missiles to be used on targets deep inside Russia. Some of the ATACMS have a range of close to 200 miles.
Correspondent Holly Williams. Russian ruler Vladimir Putin has just signed a new nuclear doctrine which lowers the threshold under which Russia might use nuclear weapons in response to Ukraine. Democratic mayors in major U.S. cities are vowing to fight back against President-elect Trump's mass deportation plan.
I will not tolerate actions that harm our communities and divert resources from providing real security at our border.
The idea of calling out the Army into the domestic confines of the United States seems uncalled for.
Incoming border czar Tom Homan says the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley at the hands of an illegal immigrant is why he is determined to carry out the deportation effort.
For all those mayors and governors who said they're going to push back on ICE to do this operation, I want you to listen to that tape of that young lady fighting for her life. She did not want to die, and she fought hard. Listen to it. Just don't say, okay, another one died. No, I want you to listen to the struggles, because that happens across this country almost every day by an illegal alien.
Homan says because of the open border policies of the Biden administration, there are approximately 300,000 children unaccounted for in America right now. The president-elect's pick for transportation secretary is former Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy. Now, if confirmed, the ex-prosecutor, sports commentator, and reality TV star would lead an agency with over 55,000 workers. Election day was 2 weeks ago, and there are still 5 House races and 1 U.S. Senate contest in flux. That Senate contest is in Pennsylvania, where a statewide recount gets underway tomorrow. Journalist Selena Zito says the Republican challenger Dave McCormick has an insurmountable lead over the Democratic incumbent, Bob Casey.
The Casey campaign has filed a lawsuit, because this is the election that will never end, to cover the provisional ballots. Even if they were able to count all the illegal votes, McCormick still would win.
On Monday, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that undated or misdated ballots will not count, though some local election officials are counting them anyway. Police say a homeless man in New York City went on a random stabbing spree on Monday in Manhattan. Correspondent Jennifer Kuiper.
In less than 3 hours, a construction worker near his work site, a man who was fishing in the East River, and a woman who was near the UN headquarters were all stabbed and died of their wounds.
Reporter Aaron McLaughlin.
This stabbing spree is shocking. According to police, the suspect had an extensive criminal history and serious mental health issues, leading the mayor of New York City to openly question why he was out on the streets.
A New York City cab driver is being hailed as a hero for following that 51-year-old and alerting police. Here's to your health. A new study today finds hot cocoa and green tea helps protect your heart whenever you're stressed out.
A study by the University of Birmingham found that the flavonols in those drinks protect your blood flow and the system that delivers oxygen to the brain. Flavonols are a compound found in some fruits, vegetables, teas, and nuts. Cocoa or green tea can even counteract some of the negative effects of eating a fatty meal.
Michael George reporting, and SpaceX hopes to launch another rocket into orbit today and then recapture that rocket upon its return trip to Earth. Blastoff happens in Texas this afternoon. Splashdown expected in the Indian Ocean. President-elect Trump will be there along with SpaceX founder Elon Musk. SpaceX plans to use this Starship for NASA's upcoming lunar landings. And still to come on the Noon Report for a Tuesday, hunting safety tips, brushing up on winter driving, and Operation Christmas Child.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, calling for some substantial changes in our weather in the days ahead. I'll have forecast details on those changes in 10 minutes.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you then. Let's check the stories making news across New York and Pennsylvania. New Yorkers are being urged to conserve water as a drought watch has been upgraded to a drought warning. Natalie Migliori has our report.
At least 15 counties across New York State are under a drought warning, including all 5 New York City boroughs. Officials are asking residents and businesses to reduce how much water they're using by taking shorter showers, washing cars less frequently, and sweeping their driveways and sidewalks instead of hosing them down. New York City is in the driest 7-week stretch in Central Park since records started being kept in 1869, with only 0.19 inches of rain falling from September 30th until now. Rain is supposed to move into the area later this week. I'm Natalie Migliori.
All right, they'll love every drop. Thank you, Natalie. And the lingering drought in Pennsylvania could impact the future supply of Christmas trees. Family Life's Brian Query.
Rick Kuntz with Sellers Christmas Tree Farm in Bedford, Pennsylvania, told WJAC that he's only seen one other summer as dry as this one since his farm opened 73 years ago. While he said that the rain from Hurricane Milton provided much-needed moisture for his trees, the conditions on his farm are still dry.
It doesn't put me behind right now, but it might create a shortage. If we would have a second dry summer, that would really hurt.
Kuntz says he has advice for you if you're planning on getting a live tree this year. As soon as you get it home, get it in water immediately and keep it away from heat, and you may be amazed just how long it will last. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. With snow in the forecast, it is time for New York and Pennsylvania motorists to brush up on their winter driving skills.
If you do lose control of the car, remember to focus on the roadway. If you look at the ditch, you will end up in the ditch.
State Police spokesman Ruben Marichalar.
Four-wheel drive vehicles bring false sense of security to drivers. They think because they're all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive that they can maneuver a lot better. Not necessarily true. If the roads are slick and there's ice, you can have 6 wheels and you're not going to be able to control that vehicle.
Police stress it's important to give yourself plenty of braking distance and slow down when the snow starts.
Cruise control should not be operated if the road conditions are bad, because that actually locks your wheels at a certain speed. So if you have your wheel constantly spinning and you hit a patch of ice and it's not a road surface that's clear, it's going to continue to spin. You're going to lose control of that car.
Meteorologist Kevin Williams says any snow we get Thursday night and Friday will be limited to those higher hilltops. With hunting season underway, wildlife officials are reminding hunters and hikers alike to play it safe in the great outdoors. It starts by wearing bright orange to make yourself visible. Reporter Pam Fisher.
That's true if you're hunting or just out for a walk. If you are just out for some fresh air, stay on the popular hiking trails. And if you're hunting, keep an eye on the time. Legal hunting time for most game is a half hour before sunrise and a half hour after sunset.
Wildlife expert Tom Milligan.
Every time that you have a weapon in your hand, you need to make sure that you're treating it as it is loaded. Make sure that it's always pointed in the right direction in a safe manner, and make sure that when you get ready to lift up the muzzle and you get ready to aim at a target, make sure that you know what you're shooting at, and make sure what you know what's beyond what you're shooting at.
Deer season ends December 8th in New York, December 14th in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania Congressman Glenn Thompson is on the short list to be President-elect Trump's agriculture secretary. The Republican representative tells Family Life News it's an honor just to be nominated.
I think all the listeners know my passion for agriculture. We've talked about America's #1 industry frequently, and I would be honored to be able to serve in that capacity, to serve as a part of the cabinet. And that will be President Trump's decision.
Thompson served 9 terms in Congress. He's the first congressman from PA to chair the House Agriculture Committee. New York's early intervention program is a critical lifeline for babies and toddlers with developmental disabilities. But that lifeline's in trouble, and all because of a new billing system that providers use. It was intended to simplify the process, but it's been a nightmare instead.
Something that typically would have taken 5 to 10 minutes in the past is now taking up to 3 to 4 hours.
Andrea Bova-Cohill is a speech therapist in central New York.
That is causing a lot of providers to either pause services. They're not picking up new cases, myself included at this point, which is going to cause increased delays for anyone who is waiting for services across the state.
Physical therapist Melissa Staten is equally frustrated with this new billing system.
The wait lists are getting longer and longer. There was already wait lists for therapy. Several kids have been on a wait list, sometimes for a year.
71,000 children in New York rely on the state's early intervention network. Elmira, New York has a new law that allows for jail time and fines for homeless encampments. First-time offense punishable by up to 90 days in the slammer and a $500 fine. Not everyone in Elmira is happy about that.
I understand that we do need to address homelessness, but we don't do that with handcuffs. We can't keep just banging this nail with a hammer and hoping that's going to fix things. There is nothing in this resolution that actually offers real-world solutions for any of the people that you're working with.
Elmira Mayor Dan Mandel says incarceration is not the goal here.
We're actually going after the more dangerous encampments where they've started fires. So the first step is try to get them housing. Those that refuse to go, then the next step will end up being enforcement. Again, we do not want to throw people that are homeless in jail. That's not our intent. We need to get them help. We need to get them into treatment.
City officials say these encampments have been a public health and safety threat for many years in Elmira. This week is National Collection Week for Operation Christmas Child. Thousands of churches have been busy packing shoeboxes filled with toys to send to children overseas. OCC has been doing this since 1993. And Family Life's Greg Gillespie has more on the history behind that Christmas generosity.
It's hard to say that it started small when the first year there were 11,000 shoeboxes collected by one church in Metro Charlotte. 220 million children have received shoebox gifts in this international project. The Operation Christmas Child team says that of those 220 million children, almost 9% have made a commitment to Christ due to the letters that donors included and the evangelistic follow-up by Samaritan's Purse. Greg Gillespie, Family Life News.
Thank you very much, Greg. Sports next. It's the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, in a battle between the Lone Star State teams, the Texans dominated the Cowboys 31-10 last night. Joe Mixon rushed for 109 yards and 3 touchdowns as Houston snapped a 2-game skid. For Dallas, they have not played well at home. They have now set a new NFL record by trailing by 20 or more points in their last 6 home games. Not the kind of record you want to be known for. By the way, a team that has never even played in the Super Bowl is now the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions are the number 1 pick at the moment, followed by the Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, and Eagles. On to the NBA. The Knicks have now won 3 straight following a 134-106 blowout of the Wizards at Madison Square Garden. Jalen Brunson led the way with 26 points and 11 assists. Karl Anthony Towns added 24 points and grabbed 12 rebounds. Every member of the Knicks starting 5 scored in double figures in the lopsided win. The 76ers season continues to circle the drain as they drop their 4th in a row, 106-89. They lost to the Heat in Miami. Philly now 2-11 on the season. And in baseball, a couple of pitchers won Rookie of the Year honors. No surprise to see Pirates phenom Paul Skeens win the award. He had the lowest ERA, 1.93 of any rookie with at least 20 starts in the live ball era. That's going back to 1920. In the American League, Luis Gil of the Yankees beat out fellow teammate Austin Wells for the trophy. That is a look at sports.
All right, Randy, thank you. Still to come, 1,000 days of war, abortion ban overturned, and Texas Bible history.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Well, in the days and weeks since 2 massive hurricanes hit the United States in just 2 weeks' time, extremes from both ends of an ideological spectrum have proclaimed the events as unnatural disasters. There were many political and media and activist voices reporting these storms as unprecedented and as undeniable evidence of human-caused climate change. However, these storms were not unprecedented. As Governor Ron DeSantis noted, many hurricanes over the last 2 centuries have slammed into Florida with equal or even greater force. In fact, a majority of the Southeast's worst hurricanes happened between the late 1800s and early 1900s. Now, not to be outdone, Marjorie Taylor Greene joined a few others to blame Helene and Milton on nefarious forces within the deep state. This claim that these storms were manufactured and aimed at Republican voters in Appalachia and Florida, well, it's not worthy of a direct response. Still, the claim reveals something, that conspiracies, even from those on opposite ends of the political spectrum, have at least one thing in common. You see, most conspiracy theories are often based on an exaggerated idea of humanity's power. In this case, it's the power to control and direct nature. The illusion of control, well, that's a feature of modernism. It's a reason that so many conspiracy theories proliferate today. In his remarkable book that's now decades old, The Way of the Modern World, theologian Craig Gay of Regent College in Vancouver described how secularization sees humanity as being more in control than we really are. After all, if the world is a creation, and a good one at that, it's likely that the Creator did not make it, nor has he left it teetering on the verge of disaster. However, in the 20th century, that's precisely what influential secular thinkers like Stephen Jay Gould and Richard Dawkins concluded, that this world is on the verge of disaster. After all, from a naturalistic neo-Darwinian point of view, the odds that humans would ever come into existence in the first place are ridiculously slim. So even the slightest divergence of factors along the way would have led to our extinction. And that's the story that we're still in, the accidental one. Therefore, even the slightest change that we might cause to the climate could end this whole accidental, meaningless situation that humans currently enjoy. This is the opposite side of the utopian coin, which concedes to humans too much power to perfect the world. Neither is true. Still, at the same time, humans do have an incredible ability to do good and to do evil, and it's fully understandable why we give ourselves so much credit. When Elon Musk is catching rockets with gigantic mechanical arms out of the air and introducing the world to driverless buses, well, it's tempting to think that maybe we do control the weather, or perhaps at least maybe we can. However, that's just not the way the world works. Not this world, even if it does alleviate our collective sense of vulnerability. We are not ultimately in control of this world that we did not create. Yes, humans did cause the fall, but we don't control the weather. Yes, humans broke the world in the fall, but the God who made the world still oversees it. And if a sparrow does not fall without his notice and his care, we need not think that we've somehow moved the world beyond his protection and his salvation. Thank God, we're just not that powerful. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint. For more resources that look like a Christian today, visit us at breakpoint.org.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, John. Outside we go, Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast for this afternoon. Lots of clouds, a little sun, a passing shower, and high temps 50s. Rather cloudy tonight and tomorrow, a couple of showers. 40s tonight, 50s to near 60 tomorrow. Then rain tomorrow night, and then rather chilly and raw with rain showers and elevation snow on Thursday with high temperatures in the 40s except 30s in the higher elevations.
All right, thank you, Kevin. This is the Noon Report. I'm your host, Bob Price. Here's what's happening Tuesday, November 19th. Today marks 1,000 days of war in the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. Russian troops poured into that country February 24th, 2022. And this week, the Biden White House gave Ukraine permission to use long-range American missiles. By some estimates, this war has claimed over 1 million lives on both sides. The illegal immigration crisis was a big reason why Donald Trump won the election 2 weeks ago, and the president-elect has big plans to deal with the problem once he assumes office in January.
He's planning to declare a state of national emergency and use military assets to do it. Now, by declaring national emergency, that would allow Trump to tap into national additional resources and funding needed to carry out a program of this scale. Military personnel already offer support on the southern border, including things like warehouse management and clerical work. They are not permitted to perform civilian law enforcement activities like arresting migrants.
Reporter Caitlin Huey Burns. Pennsylvania's highest courts ordered disputed ballots will not be counted in the disputed U.S. Senate race between Democratic incumbent Bob Casey and Republican challenger Dave McCormick. Casey attorney Adam Bonin.
I think it's important that we make sure that every vote is counted and counted correctly. I'm going to leave the math to others. My job is to fight for my client, make sure that everyone follows the law, follows the state constitution, follows the U.S. Constitution, and then we'll know what the voters have decided.
Election boards in 4 counties have been illegally counting ballots. Pennsylvania journalist Selena Zito.
The state Supreme Court, which is 5-2 Democrat majority, literally wrote it in all caps. You guys, we've told you this already, and you're doing it, and so we're going to tell you again, like they were 7-year-old children. Even if they were able to count all the illegal votes, it doesn't matter. McCormick still would win by about 10,000 plus.
At last check, McCormick was up by about 17,000 votes. A statewide recount starts tomorrow. A judge has struck down Wyoming's ban on abortion and its first-in-the-nation prohibition on the use of medication to end pregnancies. Legal analyst Jessica Levinson says these laws were challenged by 2 not-for-profits and 4 women.
The judge said the bans would harm women's health, well-being, and livelihoods, and that violated state law. Second, the judge agreed with the challengers who said that the bans violated a 2012 state constitutional amendment, which gives Wyoming residents a right to make their own health care decisions.
Pro-lifers argue abortion is not health care, and science has proven that medication abortions are dangerous to women. The Texas Board of Education is voting today on new elementary age curriculum that teaches the Bible as history at school.
Religious references are in no way religious instruction. The Supreme Court has been clear about this.
Jonathan Covey with Texas Values.
It has always been understood that religion has a place in American civic society.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says the Bible is a fundamental text in American history. You're tuned in to the Noon Report for Tuesday on Family Life.
Welcome back to another edition of Hometown Heroes on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster, and this is part 2 of our conversation with Central American missionaries Pete and Tyann Jerka. Last week we heard about their beginnings serving in Guatemala. Today we focus on the start of their work in Honduras, which started with a crisis, then a miracle, on the way back from a U.S. furlough.
Driving down to Honduras, we had an accident in Mexico.
Bad one.
A bad one. He was paralyzed. We were there with 3 little children and all our belongings kind of gone. God just did so many miraculous things. That would be a whole other interview. But got us back to Buffalo by air vac, and he was one of the only people, they said, that walked out of the trauma center at ECMC on the floor where they're paralyzed. They said they just don't walk off of this floor.
No other explanation but a miracle.
Yeah, it was a miracle. We all are miracles, but he's a walking miracle.
Tell me about that time.
Well, it was a difficult time because I felt God was speaking to me to go to Honduras. And here I am back in Buffalo, paralyzed, and it just seemed like the whole thing fell apart. And I'm laying in bed, and we had a couple of pastor friends that came to visit us, and he said, well, looks like God doesn't want you to go to Honduras. That's not an uplifting thing to say, so that stuck with me that night after he left. And I said, God, do you speak that way to just about kill me, to tell me not to go to Honduras? It didn't make sense. Sometimes when we have questions, we ask God why. Why do things happen? And we don't get answers. We start getting bitter. You listen to all the lies. A couple days after that, I was in my wheelchair, and there was a little precious lady. She was a Christian lady, and she was a quadriplegic. She kept on saying that God is a perfect God. He doesn't make mistakes.
And we would go in her room to encourage her and come out encouraged. She had so much faith that it built our faith.
So then I said, you know what? I believe God did call me, and I want to go back. I remember requesting to do more rehab. And every little small thing was a big mountain that I faced. And I said, well, if I can stand for 3 seconds, why can't I do it for 6 seconds? Several weeks later, I walked across the room. After 3 or 4 months, I was able to walk on my own. I was so excited. And then we were finishing our year in Buffalo. I said, well, I think we need to go now. And it's almost like the enemy tried to stop us from coming. So I said, you know what? We're going to just declare
for Christ.
This is for Christ. So we got back into Honduras, and we did that. And I remember when we were looking for a place to start the church, we were there looking at it, and I said, you know what? Even if I buy 1 square foot, I'm going to stand on that land and say this land is God's land. And that's kind of how our story started.
So you've been in Honduras how long now?
Over 30 years. This big building right here, and that's another miracle. We didn't have a penny. We never had money. We just trusted God. From the day we left to the day till today, we just trusted God, and everything you see, God gets the glory, because it wasn't us. It wasn't even just hard work and labor or some rich person God put in our path. It was God. And we told him in the beginning, if this is of you, God, we're not going to be out begging. We don't have time for that. We don't want to do that. That's not who we are. It's great for others. It's not who we are. We don't have time for that. You do it. And he's done it all.
And we always felt like if he called us, why would he call us, and not make the provisions to make it happen? So we felt if he's opening the doors, he's going to give us the means to walk through those doors, and that's kind of how it is.
And this big building here, we knew that we were supposed to have children, that it was children's ministry. We weren't sure how it was going to happen or why. And so we started this little church next door, and the pastor there at the time told us, the land next door is for sale. So Peter said, Ty, let's go talk to the owner. Well, he lived up on another mountain, and we drove to his house, and we asked him, how much is it? He said, that's going to be just the land, $10,000. So Peter said, okay, we'll give you $2,000 in, I think you said 3 weeks. And then if you can wait 3 months, we'll give you the rest, the $8,000. And he said, okay, sign here. We signed. We walked to the car. Peter said, what did I just do? We don't have any money. But within those few weeks, there was a team that came down, and on that team was a nurse. And we did not even know these people. And on her way home, she said to the leader, do you know of anybody there that needs $10,000 for a children's ministry? Because my dad died and left me a trust fund, and it can only be used overseas for children. And he said, yeah, those missionaries we were just with mentioned it.
Now that you mention it.
We had the check within the next couple weeks for $10,000 paid for, land paid for. And we knew from there on, okay, God, if you did that, you'll send the kids, you'll take care of the kids, you'll pay for everything. And everything you see in this building was from God. That's all I can say. Just a gift from God.
Area natives Pete and Tyann Jerka, longtime missionaries to Central America, currently serving the people of Honduras. In our final segment next time, they'll detail God's many miracles during their 30-plus years serving in Honduras. Please join us again next time as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
Thank you, Mark Webster. Hometown Heroes comes your way every Tuesday during the Noon Report or online anytime at familylife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Well, on the midday weather map, it's looking rather serene. A front that crossed the area yesterday is now draped across the southern Mid-Atlantic states, and high pressure will keep our weather quiet today, although a shower cannot be ruled out in western sections. Later in the week, though, a big upper-level low will settle into the region, and that spells more substantial rain, beneficial rain for some of us where it's been so dry, and also some high-elevation snow. That'll be in the Thursday, Friday time frame. But for this afternoon, lots of clouds, a little sun, a passing shower, and high temps 50s. Rather cloudy tonight and tomorrow, a couple of showers. 40s tonight, 50s to near 60 tomorrow. Then rain tomorrow night, and then rather chilly and raw with rain showers and elevation snow on Thursday with high temperatures in the 40s except 30s in the higher elevation.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Finally at noon, pig on the prowl. A loose pig tried to elude police recently in Tacoma, Washington.
17, the pig is being non-compliant.
Tacoma police responded to a report of a pig running through a neighborhood. Officers ran after the pig, trying to corner it in a yard, but it kept scooting under fences.
No, come here. No.
Officers were finally able to grab the small pig and hold it until they got it collared. They say notorious PIG was safely captured. I'm Brad Ford.
It doesn't sound too happy, though. That's our world, the world we live in. Here, Piggy Piggy, it's Tuesday, November 19th. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.